did I come to this?
Not again.
I played Richard III.
5 curtain calls.
There were 5 curtain calls. I was an actor once. Damn it, now look at me. Look at me! I can't go out there and I won't say that stupid line one more time.
For all your posturing, all your little speeches, you're nothing but a common thief.
I am an exceptional thief, Mrs. McLean, and since I'm moving up to kidnapping, you should be more polite.
Behold the Metatron, herald of the Almighty and voice of the one true God. Behold the Metatron, herald of the Almighty and voice of the one true God. Behold the Metatron, herald of the Almighty and voice of the one true God. Sweet Jesus, do you have to use the whole can?
Cancel the kitchen scraps for lepers and orphans. No more merciful beheadings. And call off Christmas.
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta, where the air is filled with spices, it's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm the owner of Grabthar's House of Savings.
So let's talk about some stuff. Yes, let's. Man, it's been a rough couple of months, or rough bunch of weeks with
2016 so far really sucks.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put a suckage on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we did the Bowie show, and shortly thereafter we lost Glenn Fry and a whole bunch of other people. The drummer from Mott the Hoople, and
we just Paul Kantner from Jefferson Starship Airplane,
right?
Whatever,
right. And the same, almost, was it the same day as David Bowie, or was it a couple days later? It was a couple days later.
For Alan?
We lost
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman, and
same thing, same age.
Yes,
age 69.
69.
Cancer, and I believe it was both of them were cancer of the liver.
Maybe, yeah.
Both were definitely cancer.
Yeah, and Glenn Fry was 67, so it's that it's the new, what was it, 27? This is a little different though.
Hope I die before I get old.
Yeah.
Nope.
So, but we want to celebrate Alan Rickman because he was one of the more. I mean, he was a. I don't want to say underrated, but he was one of those that he was
underappreciated.
There you go. Perfect.
At least as far as awards. I mean, if you went up to someone and say, "Name me 3 Alan Rickman films," they could probably come up with 3.
Well, if you don't count Harry Potter as 7 movies, if you count it or 8 movies,
and I wouldn't. I mean, I'll cop to it. You gave me the first 3 books. I have yet to read them.
Yeah.
But I have seen all the films.
Right.
And, it was good. And, the surprise. Spoiler alert, Snape is actually kind of a good guy.
Yeah. Played so brilliantly by Alan Rickman.
Yeah, at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which I think is in Florida.
There's one in Florida now. Yeah, they're working on the one for L.A. or California, whatever it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be opening this year or next year.
In connection with Universal Studios? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's because that's not a Disney.
No, it's not Disney. No.
Okay, because leave as much room as possible for Star Wars Land.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to go out next summer to California for one big last hurrah out there. Nope, I think I'm going to kind of time that trip with Star Wars Land being open.
Well, again, I have never been to a Disney park. Never had the opportunity, and
dude.
I know. Well, I mean, we were in New York, and we, that's a long way. Either way, we didn't have a car, and
right.
And so,
yeah, you can drive to California. It's just a hell of a drive.
No, it's a few days.
I've made it many times.
Yeah, and but. The final nail in the coffin is, or the final push over the edge is Star Wars Land for me. There's no way I'm not going to see to the full size Millennium Falcon or whatever they're going to be.
Well, the reason I bring up
Potterland
is because a photo circulated, and I'll post it on the interwebs. It's a series of tubes. Someone left a lily at the door to the potions classroom.
Yes.
And I was like, even I don't have nearly as much emotional investment in Harry Potter as other people do. I was like, that is cool.
Yeah,
that is cool.
Yeah, well, I have read every single one of those books, more than some of them more than once, and they are every bit as worth it. They're worth every bit of it. And the amazing thing about the translations of those books into films was mainly the casting. Everyone when I read those books, and then the actors were cast.
Did you read the books first before the
yes
before the first film?
I'd read.
Okay.
I think the first movie was being worked on when the third book was out. I think something to that effect. There were a few out, and I had read because everyone was talking about it.
Right,
and
because I find it dangerous to have read it before seeing it because I've already built the world in my head.
Yes,
and then I see no, wrong. Whereas if I see it first, I can go, that's that interpretation. That's the Cliff Notes version.
Right.
Now let me create my own world, and it won't be quite as jarring.
The amazing thing about the Potter films is just that. Everything in the movie looked exactly like I pictured it in my head. Wow. Every character looked like, oh, yeah, of course it's Robbie Coltrane. Oh, of course it's Maggie Smith. Oh, of course. Just absolutely perfect. And that never happens. Never, ever. And the funny thing about it is Alan Rickman was not the first choice to be Snape.
Really?
Yeah. It was originally offered to Tim Roth, and he turned it down.
Good play.
Good play. He could have done it, but it just wasn't... It wasn't meant to be one of those.
There's not enough gravitas in his performances to tell me that he could be Snape and pull off. From what I understand, even while the books were being written, the films were being done, and J.K. Rowling said, to Rickman, all right, between you and me, it goes no further. Here's the deal with Snape. That's revealed at the end, but I want you to know this now so that you can incorporate it into your performance. And he said, I never told anybody, and it made all the difference in the world to my performance. Because when you think about it,
that's exactly what he's living.
Knowing that bit of information about Lily and Potter, Potter's mother and everything, it'd be impossible to do that character justice without that bit of knowledge.
And that's exactly what Snape is going through. He has this secret that he knows about pretty much. And from what I understand, the story that's going around is that the original thing that J.K. Rowling told Rickman was the interpretation of the word "always" in his first speech to Harry. She's like, that's what she told him first, and he's like, oh okay. And so, that notwithstanding, he had a giant body of work.
Oh yeah, I mean, at least for me, I wouldn't put the Harry Potter stuff even in the top 10 of his best work.
Right.
But that's just me. I'm sure there's thousands of people out there going, "You asshole! It's the greatest thing ever."
Right. No, but that's just a testament to how brilliant of an actor he was that everything he did, even and I'm not disparaging Potter at all. I think it's all genius. But it's technically children's movies, and he was genius. Just brought.
He brought his... I can't even do an impersonation. Yeah. I mean, they did... Family Guy loved to poke fun at him. Remember the answering machine? This is Alan Rickman. I mean, just, and it was dead on because that's his cadence. That's his tone.
Yep.
Now, I'm guessing that your first introduction to Alan Rickman was what all of ours was.
Absolutely, yeah.
Die Hard. Hans Gruber,
yeah.
Now I have a machine gun. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, I am an extraordinary thief.
Yeah, that was good. And he was playing, I guess he was playing a German national in that. Was that what it was? I can't remember. Some indeterminate European.
Eurotrash is what they were,
And I still remember as he's coming out the window, that kind of puckered duck face. What the hell?
Wait a minute. I lost?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no shit. That was great. I mean, that, quite frankly, he'd still be of great note if he had stopped there, because that was such a brilliant performance.
I think for me it was, and we'll continue on Die Hard, but I think what the performance that really stuck out to me from him that made me go, oh wait a minute, that's the guy from Die Hard was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Right. That was his universal breakthrough.
Yes,
because there's a certain segment of the population like Die Hard, a lot of guys, but with Robin Hood, that opened it up to the ladies.
I think that's where he stopped being Hans Gruber and became Alan Rickman to the public. It's like, oh, that's one of the best characters ever, and then it flipped over to this is one of the best actors ever.
Like, he's no longer Quigley Down Under.
Yeah.
He didn't play Quigley, but
which is a great movie if you have never seen it. It has one of the best endings ever, in my opinion.
Now,
great lines.
His first role, his first credited role was back in 1978.
Okay.
He played Tybalt in a production of a film version of Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, okay.
Because he is from the stage.
Yes, absolutely.
Basically, I don't want to say all, but damn near 90% of the great British actors that we've experienced in the last 50 years have all come out of the stage to one point or another.
And
go back sometimes.
And a majority out of Shakespeare, out of the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Right.
I mean, your Patrick Stewarts and your Ian McKellens.
Your Judi Dench.
Just all of them.
And Tybalt happens to be one of my favorite Shakespeare characters ever. So that's
okay. Why is that?
The saucy language.
Yeah,
saucy, the back and forth. There's quite a bit of a play between him and Mercutio that I appreciate. It's just
it's only in the last few years that I mean, I'm not a big Shakespeare guy, but I'm more appreciating and understanding more of the language and realizing how bawdy and almost downright filthy Shakespeare really was.
And how so many of the phrases and we use today they weren't popularized necessarily in Shakespeare. They were created.
Yeah.
Like, there's no evidence that particular word or that phrase was ever uttered prior to Shakespeare.
Yep. There was a great clickbait meme going around that I saw not too long ago, as a matter of fact, and it just said 22 words that Shakespeare just totally made up.
You won't believe number 17.
Yeah, one of those kind of
things. Exactly.
It's like, what?
Now, what did you think of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
As a matter of fact, it was on last week or something. We had it on in the background, and it's got a lot of problems.
I can name the one biggest problem.
Well, Kevin Costner.
You got it.
And
accent, no accent.
Yeah, exactly. He just kind of gives the fuck up after a while.
It's weird. All villains in all films everywhere, no matter what time period, they're all British. Roman Empire, British.
Right.
French Revolution, British with a little bit of added on. But here it takes place in fucking England.
And that guy doesn't.
And they cast a Brit.
The Empire in Star Wars has a British accent.
Right, exactly. They cast all these Brits in there and then throw in the American.
Who can't do it.
Who can't do a British accent, whereas all these Brits come over to America and are Hans Gruber German, or they,
or House, or...
Right, exactly. There's some actors that you hear them in an interview like 5 years after you've been following, like, holy crap, you're British.
Yeah, somebody just...
Your American accent is brilliant.
Just did that. Who was it? I was just watching something. Same thing. Paul Blackthorne, who's on Arrow. Mm-hmm. He plays the detective.
Oh, come on, Blackthorne. That just screams British.
Right, but I mean, he's got like kind of a Chicago accent, and it's just kind of rough and tumble, hard boiled, And then I saw him, and the weird thing that happens with that, with me at least, it's like, why is that guy faking that bad British accent? But that's how they really talk.
Like, yeah, that accent. That's how I actually talk.
Yeah.
Not taking the piss.
But I mean, Rickman is genius in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. There's no one who could have done better.
He's one of the actors that I will put on the list of. You've done a lot of crap films, but you have never been crap in them.
Never in anything.
Because for me, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is pretty much a crap film, but his performance stands out nicely. There's a few other things. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, you got your Morgan Freeman, and he's okay. And was it Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio? Is that who plays the? I forget who plays Marion. She was good. Mike McShane as Little John, he's good, but I mean, for the most part, it's pretty awful. But then there's Rickman. I mean, Cancel Christmas, and why a spoon cousin, and just you bring meet in my chambers at midnight, bring a friend. Just perfectly quotable lines. And I was watching that, like I said, about a week ago, and I'm watching the end of it. I'm going, the end of this movie is he's trying to rape this woman before, he's trying to consummate this relationship before Robin Hood breaks in and kills him. I was like, that's what's going on. How does this happen?
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
I'll watch, what is it? What's the one that...
Men in Tights?
Is that what it? Robin Hood Men in Tights? Yeah, that's it. I prefer watching that, and that was on the downhill slide of Mel Brooks's genius. Right. It's a good comedy film, but
yeah, and again, Carrie Elways was great as Robin, and he has the line, like unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
Exactly. Well, he was relatively fresh-ish off Princess Bride at that point, within 5 years or so. When they did that.
Totally.
Because everyone saw him as
Wesley.
Yeah, exactly. What's your opinion of my favorite Alan Rickman? Oh, God, it's tied for first.
Okay.
Sense and Sensibility. Have you seen it?
Yes, I believe I have.
I love.
Is that the Emma Thompson one?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you have to clarify these things because a lot of the classics, it's like, oh, I loved Romeo and Juliet. Which one? The 1952, the 19,
Well, especially all that Jane Austen stuff. I mean, the BBC remakes it every 3 years.
About every 10.
But
because
still,
it's like, oh, there's a new generation. Let's remake it again.
Right.
Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice, especially. But
it's been a miniseries. It's been a film. It's been, the hat,
another
a brooch, a pterodactyl.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been everything.
Courtney loves the costume dramas. Loves especially the Jane Austen stuff. So.
I gotta admit, so do I.
Not my total cup of tea, but I have seen the one with Emma Thompson, and it's great.
I really enjoy the British costume dramas where people are put into positions based on the customs and society at the time.
See, that's the thing.
Which is totally Sense and Sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's also my probably favorite Emma Thompson. Oh, again, tied with Sense and Sensibility. The Remains of the Day with Anthony Hopkins.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Oh, it's a flawless film. Absolutely flawless.
I'm sure.
And I love it to death. And I like that, if only we could, because the British have such a great reserve. We are not explosive with our emotions.
Right.
For the most part. As evidented by me screaming like a little girl on the elevated train going out to the suburbs of London and seeing the Battersea Power Station, Pink Floyd Animals, and everyone on the train was looking at me like, "What the fuck's up with this guy?"
Well, and it was also 30 years ago that record came out, or whatever.
Well,
it was.
yeah, but still, I mean, that's I would probably have the same thing if I looked over and saw, the pyramids of Giza going, Dark Side of the Moon.
Exactly.
It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. See, my issue with with the Jane Austen stuff is it and this is so short-sighted of me, but that's the plot is the same in every movie. Somebody's trying to get married, and it's a thing, and
money, society, class,
exactly, and how almost the daughters were almost commodities because they were,
and how they cleverly escaped or were able to accommodate society's norms but still get what they want, and how they kind of dance around.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of the Jane Austen stuff, is that the
women are mostly triumphant in the end,
and you can tell that it's a reactionary to her time period. I don't want to be a commodity. I don't want to marry this man for his land and his dowry. I want to be.
But Colonel Brandon in Sense and Sensibility with Alan Rickman, there's a quiet pain and dignity and reserve about the guy. Mm-hmm. I think he pulled that role off absolutely flawless.
Well, quiet dignity and reserve, that's his wheelhouse.
Well, watch Dogma. Any quiet dignity there?
Well, that's true. That's true.
I've got no nuts.
Yeah. Well, that is one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies as well.
Dogma,
yeah.
He did well with Dogma.
And I've been listening. Like, it turns out that Rickman was a huge fan of Chasing Amy, and he didn't seek it out, but Kevin said because Kevin's been a fan, obviously, like everybody since Die Hard, and he said when he was making Dogma, his managers or agents or whatever at Miramax were like, what we could get the script to Rickman if you want. He's like, really? You think he would? They said, we can get it to him. We can't promise that he's going to like it, and he's very picky about what he chooses. But we can at least get it into his hands. And Kevin was like, oh yeah, sure, please. And he said he got a message back, Kevin, this is Alan, and he said Rickman was on board like that because he loved Chasing Amy so much. And Kevin, I've been listening to his podcast. He was devastated by Rickman's loss because what he kept saying was that not only did he get to work with him on Dogma, he said they became friends. Right. And he said that he never initiated the contact. Like, whenever they would get together, like he said, if he was in London, he would get a phone call from Rickman going,
I hear you're in London.
London, come meet me. And
this is Alan Rickman.
And he was doing that the whole interview. It's like, Alan, Kevin, this is Alan. Yeah. And he said, yeah, how's Harley? He said he was just such a wonderful guy. And Kev was like, destroyed by him losing, and he was going to cast him in Hit Somebody, the hockey thing that was going to be a movie and now is going to be a mini series if it ever happens. Right. But he said he had him. He was going to be Lord Stanley Cup. He's going to be Lord Stanley and the narrator of the piece. And he said he never even wrote Lord Stanley in the script. It was always Alan Rickman. So. He was Metatron in the voice of God in Dogma, which is, more perfect.
with God being played by
Alanis
Morissette.
It was almost, and Kev was telling these stories. He said it was almost Emma Thompson because Alan was like, "Oh, I would you like me to? I think Emma would be great as God." And he was like, of course Emma would be great. And it just didn't work out timing-wise. And she said she really wanted to do it, but she was booked or whatever, whatever happened. And
she's a popular gal.
Yeah, a little bit.
Miss Money Sterling.
Yes. From the Young Ones. That's right.
Now, I don't know the order in which they were filmed, but in perusing his filmography recently, I noticed that the same year he did Dogma, which was a definite turn for him in style of shows. Yeah. Obviously, he was kind of funny-ish in Die Hard, but not on purpose.
Right.
He was very much a caricature in that.
Yeah.
But I don't know which film first, but do you know what film? Absolute classic, change of pace for him, filmed the same year as Dogma, 1999.
Was that my favorite one and your favorite? Was that Galaxy Quest?
It's Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest, which the high watermark for me personally, I think. First of all, I think it's one of the most brilliant movies ever because of what it is.
It's the satire. It works on so many levels.
I've said this before. My favorite review of all time was the review I read of Galaxy Quest, which said, "This is the best Star Trek movie they've ever made," which is absolutely true.
Yep. And there had been some rumblings, some talk about maybe doing a sequel. That has to be done now. You cannot. Yeah, it's a done deal.
I don't think it would have happened. I think everyone would have been on board, but now that he's gone, there's just can't.
No. It's like, hey, we got half the Beatles. Maybe no, you don't reform the Beatles with Ringo and Paul. I don't care.
No.
You don't reform the Beatles with Ringo, Paul, and George.
Right.
You have to have John, Ringo, Paul, and George. If you don't have them, then it's not the Beatles, and move on, do something else.
Right.
So now, what stands out for you from Galaxy Quest?
A very odd detail of it.
Okay, all right. I knew there was something.
The thing that I always noticed about that movie with him was that at no point in that movie does he not have the headpiece on.
Right.
It's shredded at one point, and you do see a little of his hair, but he's in that stupid thing the whole movie. And I don't know why that stuck out to me. It's like, I guess the whole the absurdity, it ratchets up the absurdity level of it.
Well, because if he's showing up without his skull on the alien spacecraft, it wouldn't have the same.
That's true. They wouldn't.
They'd be like, huh? What?
That would be the end of the whole thing.
Yeah.
To begin with,
the ruse would be up.
Right, but just the fact that Rickman stayed in that thing every single day, because I'm sure that was a 2-hour process or whatever, it showed that how game he was.
I have two things from that film that I enjoyed quite a bit. Was he was doing the opening of, I don't know what the hell it was, by Gramthar's Hammer.
What a scene.
What a scene. And like that pause, like, this is killing my soul.
I can't believe this is my life.
5 encores. And the other one was the where they had to go through the maze of whatever it was. Like, we did it exactly as written. Who writes this? Why? Why is this a thing? And I call bullshit on, unless Tim Allen pretty much, or his character. I can't remember, what was the name of his character in?
Ooh, Jason something.
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Whatever. Actors do a role, and then they move on.
Yeah.
This is not, some actors you might be like, hey, remember on that? And they might be able to remember something or a couple of lines. But after you've been acting for years and years, you don't sit and watch yourself over and over again like the fans do. I've watched Star Wars 400 times. I can recite every dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Peter Mayhew, what's that line? Like, I don't know. I'm not even in that scene. Or I'm in that scene, but I don't remember.
I filmed it 40 years ago. Yeah.
But Tim Allen's character remembers the sequencing, the timing of the...
I can see that. There are certain things... Yeah, see that. Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's a little. There are certain iconic things that actors will remember, like Carrie Fisher can pull up the Obi-Wan, monologue.
Right, but consider like books you've read. Can you go back and remember details that someone says? What about that? Like, maybe. It's different. If you wrote the stuff, then yes, you're like, of course, I created it. This is what was going on. But something that you read once, something that you acted once, when you're on the other side of it, you collect your paycheck, and you're done with it.
Put it this way. There are, if Tim Akers showed up in Atlanta right now and said, we got to go play a gig, I would have a hard time remembering how to play some of those songs.
Right. It would come back to you.
It would come back to me after a little while, but it's not all back.
Right.
It's all
exactly.
How does this go? And I don't. Yeah.
Right.
Because you've done so much other stuff since then.
I get the feeling though that after Galaxy Quest, Tim Allen's character didn't really get much work, and maybe he kind of obsessed over those old episodes.
Probably, yeah.
And maybe he knows that. But
I
always found that like, who does this? Why is this?
And everybody in that movie is just so perfect. Sam Rockwell alone, who is I think one of the most underrated actors that there is.
Yeah,
genius. Just a mess in that movie. Tony Shalhoub, Tony freaking Shalhoub, just playing.
He's another one of those character actors that I know he had his moment to shine in Monk, but after a number of seasons, I'm just like, I get it. You've got issues. I'm over it.
Well, he started on Wings. That was his first thing, and like the kind of almost stereotypical Italiano cab driver. I think it was.
Was he a cab driver or a
something?
pilot? No, he wasn't.
He wasn't a pilot. I think he was a cab driver.
No, that was
Steven Weber and Superman.
Right. Basically, the show that kept USA Network afloat for like a decade.
Yeah, just reruns.
It's just like
of Wings.
Before Law and Order went into massive reruns. Between Law and Order and Wings, it's like cable channels like, and now one of those shows. Now, you would think, what awards Alan Rickman got? How many Academy Award nominations? How many? None. No nominations.
None.
Obviously, no awards.
Right.
Now, he did well with well-ish with the BAFTAs.
Okay.
He got nominated.
Which are the British.
That's the British equivalent. What does the acronym mean? British Association of Film and
Television.
Film and Television. That's it. He got nominated for Truly, Madly, Deeply.
Yep.
Which I want to say I've seen it, but I don't remember.
I've seen a few clips online of it, and it looks pretty amazing.
Right, and he got nominated for Sense and Sensibility.
Oh, yeah.
Love that. And for a film called Michael Collins, which I believe is one of those IRA Irish.
Yeah, that's Liam Neeson.
Yeah. So he was in that. Got nominated for all of those, but the fourth one I'm mentioning is the one he won for. Do you know what it is?
No, I do not.
Robin Hood.
Really?
Prince of Thieves.
What?
Yep. He won for it.
He made it. It was a great performance.
He did a great job. So he won, Best Actor that year in Britain.
Movie didn't win it.
Well, Star Wars got like 10 nominations. None of them for acting.
No.
And you knew you were, for a film like that to get nominations for acting, it has to be.
It's not going to happen.
It's just they don't do that.
They don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. But he also trod the boards over here twice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because, I don't have a list of his stage appearances in Britain, but over here in America, in 1987, he did a production of Dangerous Liaisons.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and he was nominated for a Tony.
Was he Valjean?
You would have to ask that, and I would have to say I have no freaking idea.
Oh, okay. I would assume that...
In 87?
He could be, yeah. He was... Probably in his 30s at that point,
because that's really the only major male
role
in the thing. So
that is the lead. So that would make sense.
And that was the year before he did Die Hard, because his last film before Die Hard was a film called Girls on Top. And then there's like a 3-year gap, and I think he did some film, some theater, and one of it was Dangerous Liaisons. And then he went back to Broadway in 2002 for a production of Private Lives, which he got nominated for. Now this is just the nominated stuff. He may have done plenty of other stuff.
I know he did. Yeah,
but these are the ones where his performance garnered a nomination.
Yep.
No wins. So
ridiculous.
But you know what the thing is. When it comes to awards, it's nice, but it's so subjective. And
it's really meaningless.
I could count 50 of my favorite films of all time that never even saw consideration for nominations, let alone winning it. Yeah. And it's like, hey, I'm best at art this year, and this, no, it's art.
But an actor of that caliber really did deserve some kind of recognition.
Yeah, but you know what? Who knows? Maybe that year it was Julie Andrews and Judi Dench and all these other people that who knows?
Yeah, it again, totally meaningless.
Totally subjective. But hey, Peter O'Toole never won an Oscar.
Yeah.
And he did a good number of Oscar-worthy films.
Without a doubt.
It just happened, it just worked out that way.
Yeah.
It sucks, it's not cool, but at the same time,
it doesn't mean anything.
On the other side, Judi Dench got an Oscar for supporting actress for, was it Queen Elizabeth? Victoria? I can't remember. In Shakespeare in Love. And her screen time totaled, I think, 9 minutes. It was a really, really tiny role. She was magnificent in it, but it was barely supporting. It was almost a cameo.
Yeah, that happens sometimes,
and sometimes they want to give that award to someone, like, sure, we'll put it,
Yeah, didn't Alec Baldwin get nominated for Glengarry Glen Ross for the same kind of thing, for that 4-minute scene? Didn't he get a nomination?
He might have, and which is weird because that was written specifically for
the movie.
For the movie.
It's not in the play.
It's not in the play.
Yeah.
Well, they had to pad out the time because there's some stuff in that play that are.
I've never read the play. I've seen the film multiple times.
We did a production here in Atlanta downstairs in the Hertz at the Alliance Theater.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's very racist, misogynist. The characters are. I'm not saying.
Mamet.
What's his first name?
David Mamet.
David Mamet. There you go. Forgot his first name. I separate art from artist.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise you look at someone like Harlan Ellison, like, wow, he is a twisted, evil fuck. No, that's the author.
Right.
That's what he writes. Don't confuse the author with the work.
These characters might be awful people. That doesn't mean anything about Mamet.
Exactly. Like, how come you talk about women that way? I'm not. That's the character. That's the character. I won't talk about women that way because I don't believe that.
But most of the time, that's done on purpose, because that's the opposite view. That's to make a point.
Right. Sometimes, I'm going to go out of my comfort zone and I'm going to write about a white racist or a rapist or a murderer or whatever.
Yeah.
Things that I am not and will never be. Yeah. But I'm going to go there because it interests me and it's not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that.
Yep.
Now, he started doing, the Harry Potter film started in 2001 and wrapped up, 2011? Yeah.
Something like that,
So basically a decade of on and off being Severus Snape while the kids went from, they're cute kids, to Countdown Clock to Emma, whatever her name is. Oh, God. I tell you, that's one of the worst things on the internet. You know,
it's disgusting.
It's like she's 15 now, but she'll be legal. So remember when they did that with the
Olsen twins?
Oh God,
it's revolting.
Oh, I'm just like
even okay, 18 might be legal, but that's still a child, and it's still.
If you're 15 years old and lusting after an 18-year-old. That's not much different than lusting over a 16-year-old. It's like, you're fucking old enough to be their technically biological grandfather, you freak.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where we got on that subject, but he was on, I think on the TV show King of the Hill, did an appearance. As King.
Rickman did?
Yeah. It says here in the bio. I have to, it's like, okay. Because he pops in and does voices. What's his greatest voiceover role?
Ooh. Voiceover role.
Well, I guess most well-known, I should say.
I don't know. Was it an animated film or
nope?
No. Oh, of course. He was Marvin in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
Which he was a great choice and he was perfect. This is deep nerd diving for me, but
really, we don't talk about that here. Shut up, stop.
But we
only skim the surface here at the B Pod.
Right. No. This for me, that one went deep because I really wanted Stephen Moore, the original Marvin from the radio series.
But if you can't get him,
but I mean Rickman, absolutely.
Right now, second place. What would be his second place one?
I don't even know.
He was the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, was he in the Johnny Depp one?
Yep, in the Johnny. No, you're thinking of Willy Wonka.
No, I'm thinking.
That's right. He's the Mad Hatter. That's right. Of course, it's Tim Burton. Of course, Johnny Depp is.
Yes,
of course. He's in everything.
Well, I wonder because there's a second one of those,
and apparently he had already recorded his dialogue.
I figured as much. Yeah, because he recorded it 3 years ago.
Which is interesting because we get Tim Burton back together with his ex Queen of Hearts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That, hopefully they can both be professional, and obviously he offered and she accepted.
It's a job.
Or something like that. Or she was under contract from before for a sequel and couldn't say no because otherwise it would cost
Disney,
her. Exactly. So it's like, all right, I'll take the paycheck.
You never go against the mouse.
Now, in between the 10 years that he did from 2001 2011 that he did Snape, he did one, in my opinion, almost masterpiece film.
Which was?
It's an ensemble picture. Takes place around Christmas.
Oh, yes. Of course, Love Actually.
Yes.
Yes.
And I get a lot of flack over this because, yes, it is one of those obvious tug at the heartstrings, blah, blah, blah films.
Oh, screw that. It's
It's a great film, and it was done well. The only thing that I found, I did not like the storyline with Laura Linney and her brother.
Okay.
I think it just dragged the film down in places, and it was never fully fleshed out.
It's kind of a long movie too.
Oh yeah, it's easily 2.5.
Yeah, if not
2:15, 2.5. Yeah, it's not a short film.
Yeah, it's not a quick romp. It's definitely.
Exactly.
But when you have that many storylines and that many characters and everything,
right. Well, your favorite film and mine, Magnolia, is almost 3 hours. Magnolia, bitches.
Almost did a spit take right all over my equipment.
Hey, friend of mine said, I've never seen Magnolia. I said, hey, come on over. I got the Blu-ray Deluxe Edition, and we're going to do that.
Oof.
Yeah. Pat and Josh and I, we're going to sit down. We're going to watch ourselves some Magnolia.
You don't like them, do you?
I tell you, it's Magnolia to a much more degree than, to a greater degree than Love Actually is kind of polarizing. Some people, what a waste of time. It's a lot of stupid comedy. I like it. I like the film, and I really like Rickman's performance in that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As the wasn't looking to cheat, and oh wow, she's really turning. Oh, all right, maybe I'll cheat.
He was he was kind of tortured by it.
Exactly.
You never see him as the kind of.
He doesn't run roughshod through the steno pool. Let's put it that way.
Well, that also, and he's not always the vulnerable one, and he's not always plays conflicted. He's much more. He's always
right. Well, Colonel Brandon was very stoic, but never that aggressive in where you think he would be when his pursuit of Marianne, but he was very aggressive in his pursuit of his ex, I guess, girlfriend's daughter that she had and stuff like that. So, and he brought a lot of and the thing that kills me, destroys me in that film is when Emma Thompson gets the Joni Mitchell set from him. And she knew about the necklace, and she goes into the bedroom and just has this tears like, all right, we're doing this. Yeah. We're doing this. Kind of like Kylo Ren slapping his side going, I'm doing this. Let's go to the play. And that has a lot of great little jokes here and there. And, of course, I still remain deeply in love with Keira Knightley, and she's in there. Although I don't know what Rick Grimes was up to with that little sign thing. Because what if what's his name opened the door? Yeah, his friend, her husband, and like, what do you got there? Nothing. Is oh gosh, I'll go. So it worked out pretty well. Worked out. The thing that I had a problem with is after he goes, okay, goodbye. He's walking away. She comes out and kisses him, like on the lips, like not like tongue, but I'm just. Why are you leading him on? Because you are by doing that. You are. You definitely are. Yeah. I mean, he stated his case. She said, okay, Merry Christmas, goodbye. And that's fine. But to run after him and just like have that moment and kiss him, I had a problem with that. Well, it's Keira Knightley. Kiss away. That's fine. But that, And then, of course, the next line was the greatest line in the whole film. Enough. Enough now. But Alan Rickman was great in that.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll keep going with Alan Rickman. Any other films that stand out for you?
I'm trying to think.
What did you think of Alice in Wonderland? I mean, obviously he wasn't a key lead in that. Of course, he was just a voice for a caterpillar. But
it was fine. I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan.
I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan of the last. Let's just go ahead and say an even dozen years.
Yeah.
I'm all about my Edward Scissorhands.
Yep. Your Beetlejuice.
Yes,
and your
of course.
Ed Wood, I think, is a masterpiece. I love that movie.
But
Alice in Wonderland, it was fine. The problem with it is when you cast Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter, it stops being Alice in Wonderland. It becomes the Mad Hatter
and Alice in Wonderland.
And the girl who happened to be there, too,
Can you pronounce the last name of the actress who played?
I want to say it's Mia Wasikowska?
Wasikowska. I believe.
It's something close to that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because I first noticed her in a TV show, I think on Showtime, either Showtime or HBO, called In Therapy. She played a girl who was maybe or maybe not having a sexual relationship with her, I want to say either soccer coach or gym coach.
Okay.
She was a gymnast or a soccer, I can't remember which it was. But her performance was outstanding. I was riveted. Like, good God, this girl must be like 14 years old, and she is turning in like master class level of acting. I was totally taken in. So I've followed her career, and she's chosen some. The Alice thing was good. Wasn't she in Crimson Peak? Was she in the? Was that her in the Guillermo del Toro movie last year, the gothic horror with? You know what? I think you may be right.
I think that was.
She was in definitely a horror film. Whether it was, Crimson
I think it was
Peak.
that.
Was it
Crimson Peak?
Okay. If only Courtney was here to
double check.
Double check for us.
But. Back to the whole Alice in Wonderland thing. It was fine. I saw it, and I'll probably at some point see the sequel, but not. I ain't rushing out.
Yeah, it's not like Deadpool, Star Wars, whatever. Right. We're not going to rush out. Like, got to see it opening weekend.
Right. Speaking of that, on a tangent, I think I'm going to do one of those movie watcher clubs because I was like, there's like 15 movies this year that I want to see in the theater. Starting with Deadpool and. It's like, if I can get like benefits and get some free movies out of it, now's the time to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a slate of movies this year that I'm definitely going to go see. So,
well, Rogue One probably wrapping up the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So, another like high profile film that he was in was The Butler. Remember
the Lee Daniels?
Yeah.
The
Forrest Whitaker,
Yes.
Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah Winfrey thing?
I still have not seen that film.
That's right. He played. Was it?
Oh, can you get it?
He played one of the presidents, didn't he?
Yeah.
Was it Reagan?
Yep, he played Reagan.
Right.
And I mean, even if I had no interest in the film at all, which I do, I would want to see Alan Rickman playing the president. Because
any movie with Alan Rickman and Forrest Whitaker is going to be good.
Any movie with Alan Rickman, full stop.
And but I mean, you throw Forrest Whitaker in there.
And I don't care what people say. Oprah Winfrey is a decent actress.
Oh, she's a very good actress. I mean, I think
she's got some chops. It's like what's the other one that?
What Color Purple?
Well, yeah, but I mean, Streisand. She has some good acting chops from back in the day, and in the 70s. I thought she was hot as hell in the 70s. That's just my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Sand, was it the Sandlot, the Sandbox, whatever? Like,
not the Sandlot, no.
No, Sandbox.
Sandbox, maybe.
Or Up the Sandbox. I can't remember. Some film, where she was a housewife having these weird fantasies where like she'd be kidnapped by terrorists and save the day or whatever like that.
Never seen that one.
It's not what's it?
The Way We Were. And,
not one of those. I was thinking, what's the where she played Funny Girl
and Funny Lady.
Funny Lady, exactly. Yep. It's not a big high profile like that.
Yeah, I remember that. And what was the one with Ryan? The Main Event? Was that the
boxing one? Yeah, the boxing one, the Main
Yep.
Event, and one I tried to watch recently, but my copy is all screwed up, which is weird because I got it used and thought it was in good shape.
Oh, okay.
Her version of Star is Born with Chris Christopherson.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a Chris Christopherson fan. I really kind of bought it for Chris, but Streisand's in it. That's great. And the copy was screwed up. I was like, damn it! I had my whole evening planned around watching this. Like, all right, screw it.
Yep.
So, any parting thoughts on our good man?
It's
Mr.
just a shame.
Alan
I mean, it's just a terrible. It is life. It is as it goes on. But to get 2 hits like that in 4 days is insane.
I mean, I wouldn't put Alan Rickman on par with David Bowie in the loss to the pantheon of the art. At least as far as my impact on me. I mean, David Bowie dying is the equivalent of John Lennon dying, in my opinion.
Pretty close, yeah. I know what you're saying.
Equally tragic, but at least this time it was understandable.
Yeah.
And he was able to apparently. He after he had his heart attack in 2004, Bowie, settled his affairs. They're releasing details of his will now. And before, when he was terminal, he knew it's like I only have a limited amount of time. He scheduled a bunch of, posthumous releases, some compilations, and maybe there'll be new music. And who knows?
Well, Black Star alone. I mean, just like okay, we're gonna make this record, and we're gonna, get to the finish line with new material. I mean, I'm sure there's no way to predict that 2 days later you're gone,
right? Well, 2 days after the release. Keep in mind that the album could have been in the can for 3 months, 6 months. We don't know exactly.
Well, it had to be for a while because they did the videos,
right?
Which were not those. You don't crank those out in a weekend, especially.
You can,
but they don't look like that.
But these ones have budget.
Those were films.
Yeah, those were actual small films.
Right.
That's the way MTV used to be. Say what you want about Duran Duran, but their videos were high budget, high concept, sometimes meaninless,
short films.
Yeah, they're maybe meaningless gobbledygook to how you interpret it, but their scope, they're epic. They've got nowadays you're lucky if you get some interesting camera shots and cutaways while they just perform it on a sound stage, and that's what you get.
Yeah, if they even bother.
Right. So Bowie was bad. That still resonates with me.
What was the other meme going around? 2016 brought to you by George R.R. Martin. Or Joss Whedon.
Or Joss Whedon, yeah. Yeah, so fare thee well, Alan Rickman. Fare thee well, Colonel Brandon. Fare thee well, Hans Gruber.
And damn, that sucks.
I don't like this. And but the thing is, dude, we're getting to that age where, I mean, I don't know about you. I consider if you make it to 80, I go by the Harold and Maude way of thinking to a certain degree. 70, 75, too early.
Yeah.
80, you lived a good life. Now, unlike Maude, I don't say kill yourself at 80 because you've reached it. I say that every year after 80, I will still mourn your death, absolutely, and be very upset about it. But that will not be coupled with, God, too soon.
Yeah, anything before 80 is a tragedy
like,
at this point.
You're still a functioning, you're still doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to lose Sean Connery at some point. Now, he's retired,
but still.
So he was able to, write his own coda for his career and go, I'm a private citizen now. I'm not doing, not doing film, theater, anything.
Well, the sad part that's happening a lot more is a lot of actors are taking themselves out of the game because they can't
get roles.
Well, not even that. They can't do the job. Like Nicholson, they say he retired because he can't, he can't remember lines. They say Pacino is a disaster on that Mamet play. Was it China Doll?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think they say. I mean, it's he's got teleprompters all over the stage, and it's
yeah. See, then there's the staying longer than you should.
Yeah,
that's why. I mean, who knows what Sean Connery may have. Gene Hackman, long before he died, he's like, I'm retired.
Yeah,
and I've said this before. Only in the arts is it a shame
when someone retires.
It's like, if a plumber retires at 65, they go, hey, you did a good job.
Hey,
enjoy your retirement.
Put your time in. Yeah.
But an actor is like, no, you have so much more to give. Like, I gave everything, motherfucker. I am done.
That's the beauty of like Alan Rickman is we've got Hans Gruber, we've got Snape,
we've got it forever,
and we can revisit it whenever we want,
and we do, and we will.
Yeah, and I
may watch Love Actually tonight.
Yeah,
just because I'm in the mood.
And that's the beauty of it. Also, is that in this day and age, I mean, we could just go down that list you have in front of you, and for the next 2 weeks, and have new Alan Rickman to consume. Like I haven't seen half of those.
Yeah,
films.
neither have I. Neither have I.
And
and that goes back to what I was talking about with Bowie. All of a sudden, that bookend is slammed down on the body of work. And
finite.
Now, exactly. Boom. Now you have the list of everything you will ever see or hear from this particular artist, and you can start checking the box
and discovering.
Exactly. And I will admit I have delved far deeper into David Bowie's albums in the last 2 weeks than I ever would have contemporarily. Now, maybe I always say years from now when I'm retired and I finally have somewhat of a semblance of my TARDIS media room, where I don't have to go to work. So yes, I'm going to listen to The Man Who Sold the World entirely, maybe twice, maybe read the lyrics, maybe read the liner notes and all that other stuff, and not do just a surface, have
it on in the background.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, that stood out to me. I'll put that in iTunes, but that's not because I gave Black Star a ton more attention than I would have.
Yeah, you would have listened to it once and maybe revisit.
I mean, the next day I gave a lot of attention to because it was such a fucking good record. The singles were brilliant. I listened through the whole thing and I delved into that. Black Star's a little more difficult to get into, but because of that bookend, I listened to it far more than I would have.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you can look at these films and go, okay, this is the finite, what is the Song of Lunch from 2010? I don't know.
No idea.
But it's a Rickman film,
so let's go there.
Yeah. Of course, sometimes it pays to look on IMDb and see how far down the list of credits, because if it's in the top 3 to 5,
he's in it.
He's solidly in it.
Yeah.
Then then there's like the what was it, the Winter Guest, where he was a man in the street uncredited. So
it's not worth it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like now Emma Thompson is in that with her mother.
Could be a great film.
Could be a great film, but don't watch it
for Rickman.
Like all right, here comes Rickman. He's walking across the street and he's out of frame, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's but we're getting to that point where we're going to start losing people early, but before too long, in the next 10, 15 years, these people that we love and appreciate are going to get to those ages where, like, past 80, or where it's like, you know what? He lived a good life. We're going to lose Connery in the next decade. I have no doubt about it.
Well, yeah, that's just math.
I mean, exactly.
He's 80-something as it is.
And it still hurts when you lose somebody, but once they're past 80, and this is just me, I mean, you may be different. Other people may think, no, to 100, like, if the quality of life is there, live to 150.
Right.
I mean, I would rather live to 60 with quality of life than live to 80, aided by machines and pills and
living in a home in a one room in a bed.
Exactly. Exactly. It's about quality of life.
Absolutely.
We'll do a podcast on euthanasia and medical assisted suicide,
DNAs and DNRs. I'm sorry.
So, anyway. Thank you, Mr. Rickman. Much appreciated. And hope you get to say hi to Lily in the afterlife and just kind of nod your head there.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Benny Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices of Howard & Fine. What are you going to do? Hit me with that fish. Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Check us out on DazGarageRadio.net. Listen on SoundCloud. Stream us on Stitcher. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ!
Audio Primate.